All right, good morning, everyone. Bruchim habayim. Start with a quick bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shakol nevaro. Welcome to the Daniel S. Loeb Torah Center. Breakfast and class this week is dedicated to Refuah Shlema for Joyce Harari, Simcha Joyce Bat Selma Chava, from her entire family. Okay, we start a new parasha. It's a very unusual word that begins the parasha that the rabbis jump on because it seems out of place and not too clear what exactly this is talking about. So the word is echv. Echv is usually translated as a heel. However, in context, v'haya echv tishmun, Moshe is saying that this is going to happen if you listen. This is going to be the consequences of you listening to the Torah and the Mitzvot, and it goes through a number of blessings, and then a number of things that we don't want to happen to us. I won't say the word if we do not follow the Torah and the Mitzvot of Hashem. But the word echv literally means a heel, just like the name Yaakov, Jacob, means a heel. Why? Because Yaakov held onto the heel of Esav before he was born and came out holding onto it. They were twins, and therefore we see that the idea of us following before Mashiach comes, say the rabbis, the heel aspect of the other nations before we get our place on the world stage. Okay, that's another discussion. I want to talk about how Rashi understands this word echv, and this is mirrored by many other commentators. So the rabbis tell us that the word echv means heel because there are certain mitzvot that we are dash bekvav. We step on with our heel. What does that mean? Mitzvot we step on with our heel. That doesn't sound so nice, does it? You don't want to step on a mitzvah. You want to elevate it, lift it up, be mamalit. So Rashi says, I'm talking about a certain type of mitzvot that we don't give too much thought to, we don't give too much credence to, because maybe it's a cheap mitzvah, it's a small mitzvah. Now, it's hard to understand what a small mitzvah is. Is it small in that we don't give it much importance? Maybe it's small because the reward isn't so great. It's hard to know exactly what Rashi is referring to. But he says there's certain mitzvot that we don't give too much import to because we consider them not to be important mitzvot. And the rabbis give us various mitzvot that would fall under such a category. And one of these mitzvot does appear at the end of the parasha. It does appear at the end of the parasha, and that mitzvah, which we are dash bekvav, that we push down, echv, with our heels, is mezuzah. Mezuzah. This mitzvah appears in the Shema, so we're going to assume that it's an important mitzvah. It appears in the Torah. It is one of the 613 mitzvot that we have. Is it an easy mitzvah? Is it a difficult mitzvah? What do we consider this mitzvah to be? So it's generally understood to be a very easy mitzvah. You go, you buy a mezuzah. A mezuzah does not refer to the box. Many people say, "Oh, Rabbi, can you come put my mezuzah up for me?" I'm like, "You can do it yourself. It's not that difficult." "No, we want you to do it. You know the halachot." So I go, and they bought this beautiful box, and inside the box is a piece of printed paper with the words of the Shema on it. I'm like, this is not a kosher mezuzah. Like, what are you talking about? It cost me $200. I'm like, the beautiful case you're putting it in is $200. But the whole point of the mezuzah is the cloth, is the parchment that was written by a sofer, and it's written up beautifully. That's the mitzvah of mezuzah. That's what you need. Without that, you've actually done nothing whatsoever. I'm not putting down beautiful mezuzah cases. I have them in my home too. That is one of the ways that we glorify the mitzvot. But the mitzvah itself is the cloth, is the parchment with the words on. That is the main mitzvah, and it's cheap. Nowadays, prices went up post-COVID. It used to be you could buy a mezuzah for $30-40, right? Now they're maybe about $80-90 for a mezuzah. But once you spend that money and you put it up on your door, by the real mitzvah is the front door. So if you have a number of mezuzot, some are better than others. The best one should be on your front door, and then when we put up mezuzot on our new home, we bought it many, many years ago, the sofer came to check them, and he said, I don't know why this mezuzah is on your downstairs bedroom. This is the best one. You should put it on the front door. So he switched them. The best mezuzah should be on your front door. And then other rooms in your home that you enter into or reach into should have mezuzah, but you can put a lower level mezuzah. Like your garage should not be the same level mezuzah, or doesn't need to be, than your front door. So what is this mitzvah all about? So let's look at a couple of stories from the Torah, from the Gemara actually, that describe the power of mezuzah. So first of all, on the outside of mezuzah, you see there's a letter. What letter appears on the outside of mezuzah? Shin. Shin. The letter Shin starts the 3-letter name of God, Shah with a Dai. Shin, Daled, Yun. Shin, Daled, Yud. That is the 3-letter name of Hashem that is used on a mezuzah, and it is actually one of the earlier names of God that is found in the Torah. Why is that name of God put on to the mezuzot, as opposed to, another name of God, the Yud with a Hey and a Vav and a Hey is also, or Elokim? Well, you don't want Elokim because that's the name of God's judgment. You don't want to put that on your front door. But why the Shin Daled Yud? So the rabbis tell us that the Shin Daled Yud has a protective quality to it. And actually the Shin Daled Yud stands for 3 words. Shomer, Dalatot, Yisrael. God is the guardian of the doors of Israel. That is what that particular name of God means in reference to the mezuzot. There's a protective quality. Did we have mezuzot in Egypt? How could there be mezuzot in Egypt? We had blood, so there was no mezuzah. God told us to put the blood of the Korban Pesach onto the doorpost, and in order to put a mezuzah, you need to have a doorpost, meaning it has to have the tzura of even if there's no door, if there's an opening, right, with 2 mezuzot and a mashkof. Mashkof is the top part, a drop down, a lintel, as it's called, not a word you hear too often. That tzura, that form of a doorway, even without a door, needs a mezuzah. If it doesn't have that, it does not need. So if you have 2 posts that go up to the ceiling with no drop down, actually that, technically speaking, does not need a mezuzah. You could put a mezuzah if you want to, but you would not make a bracha on that particular mezuzah. And so in Mitzrayim, in order to protect ourselves against the plague, we put blood from this mezuzah, from the animal, onto the doorpost, and that protected us. So the idea, the word mezuzot, says the Zohar in Kabbalah, is zaz mavet. Same letters, mezuzot, zaz mavet. It pushes away death. Zaz mavet mezuzot. It protects the people inside. The Gemara Yerushalmi tells a story about a Parthian king from Partas, and there was Artiban, a non-Jewish king. And he wanted to show great honor to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. And he sent him a very precious diamond or jewel. And he said, I sent you something. I need you to send me something back. Not very, I think they call this an Indian gift giver. I give you and you give me back. So Yehuda said, no problem. You want a gift back? I'll send you a gift back. You send me a very precious jewel. He sent him back a mezuzah. And he's like, what's this? I sent you a precious jewel, which is worth a lot of money, and you sent me back a piece of Torah with words on it. And he says, I did for you a great thing. You sent me something, then I have to spend time and effort and money and stress protecting. I keep it in my house, and I have to keep guards outside my house protecting this mezuzah, this jewel. I sent you something, the opposite. I sent you something that's going to be sitting outside your house, and that's going to protect the people inside your house. So you send me something that's going to need watching, and I sent you something that can watch over you. That is what Yehuda Nasi told this Parthian, this particular non-Jewish king. And I guess the Gemara does not tell us what happened after that. I guess he accepted it because he didn't try to kill him. So that's always a good sign. There was a very famous convert, by the way, really probably the most famous convert in Jewish history, after Yitro and Ruth, and his name is Onkelos ben Kalonimus. Onkelos was a convert. He was actually family of Titus, we just spoke about him in Tisha B'Av, who destroyed the Beit HaMikdash. And he studied while he was in Israel, and he converted. And by the way, his Aramaic translation to the Torah can be found next to God's words. Open up any Chumash, there's the Torah, God's words. Next to God's words, you have the Aramaic translation of Onkelos, which is unbelievable. This convert's words just shows the power of a convert gets next to, and underneath you'll find Rashi. So whoever this person was, Onkelos, his words are considered greater than Rashi because they always appear above and on par, on line with the Torah. So the Gemara tells the following story. Titus got very upset with his nephew or his cousin, Onkelos, for converting. And so he sent soldiers to try to convert Onkelos and get him back to not being a Jew, which Titus was very upset with, obviously. And they went to arrest him. While they were sitting in his house, talking to him, ready to arrest him, Onkelos got into a conversation with them and started to ask them questions. They started to respond. Ask questions, respond. After a short amount of time, they all converted to Judaism and became Jewish. They all became Jewish and didn't go back. Titus got very, very upset. Very upset. So he said, fine, I'm going to send more soldiers to go bring me back, Titus, to Rome. So off they went, and he said, but be careful. Do not engage in conversation with him. They went, they didn't listen, they engaged in conversation with him, and they converted as well. They converted, became Jewish. That is the power of this great Roman convert. The third time he said, listen, go, don't let him say a word, you don't say a word, say nothing at all. They grabbed him, they started dragging him out. As they did, he put his hand on the mezuzah and stood there praying. And they're like, what are you doing with your hand on this box on the wall? He says, you want to know? Because we want to know. He engaged them in conversation, and they converted as well. He started to talk about the contents of the mezuzah. This is the Gemara. Talk about the contents of the mezuzah. Conversation, they converted as well. After this, says the Gemara, Titus didn't send any more soldiers. He left them alone to live as a Jew in the land of Israel. What is it about the mezuzah that has this power? So it's not a mystical power. And actually the Rambam says you should not consider the mezuzah some kind of supernatural, mystical ability. It's a mitzvah, as we said at the beginning, that people dismiss. It's cheap, it's easy, but it has an innate quality. Why? Because it talks about the unity of Hashem. Inside the mezuzah, it says, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Now you see, many people will kiss the mezuzah. You don't actually technically need to do that. Really, the mitzvah is, as you enter your home, you put your hand on the mezuzah to thank God, yeah? And as you leave, you ask God for protection, what's going on outside. Why is the mezuzah put on the doorpost? Why the doorpost? Why not in the kitchen, I don't know, on your shirt, you know? That could be anything. Why particularly the doorpost? So the door represents the entry point and the distinction between outdoors, the Reshut HaRabim, and indoors, the Reshut HaYachid. It's the interface that separates them. And so, a person goes from indoors to outdoors, from the safety of their own home into the Reshut HaRabim, the public domain. They're meant to put their hand on the mezuzah and ask Hashem to bless them so that they're not negatively affected by what's happening outside their home. And the other way around as well. When a person's outside and be dealing with things outside the home, in the Reshut HaRabim, the people they met, the business, they want to go into the home. And they want to keep everything that wasn't good outside from inside. So you put your hand on the mezuzah and you're meant to pray to Hashem, let me leave outside all the shmutz I saw, all the negative stuff, so that I can enter into my home and keep my home into a safe and holy place. It's the prayer that is attached to the mezuzah that creates the safety that enters every single Jewish home. A simple, cheap, easy mitzvah called the mezuzah that takes us right into Olam Haba. Okay, have a great day.